Okay, so last time we were taking a look at some of these items in the phasing portion of Revit. We looked at some of the more typical uses. I think what I want to focus on today is how sometimes we can use the phasing or the phase filters to analyze something or to um, I guess, show it in a design sort of manner. So I don't really want to get too technical. Like in this view, you can see I have my coordination 3D view template on. So it's giving me some feedback as to what elements are structural. But if we scroll down to the bottom, you can see that my phase filter here is set to show all. So if I click on show new, then nothing much happens. And that's because the show new phase filter doesn't really have any graphic override. So let's go up here to phases in our manage tab, and we'll just take a look at what our outputs are going to be when we apply these different phase filters. Okay, so the phase filter looks are here in our graphic overrides. And if I take a look at the existing stuff, I'm not really too concerned with that right now because everything in this model is set to new. But typically if I'm cutting through an existing wall, then I want to show those lines as black. So I'm going to switch that over here now. And I'll change the line weight to a 4, make that a little thicker. And let's see, demo, that's all good. But this one right here, let's take a look at this one. So this, it's actually got an override on it, which means that if we are using a phase filter show new, then these overrides are going to get applied if I change this from by category to overridden. So show new as a phase filter, I'm going to keep. But when it comes to the conceptual look or that design sort of look, I'm going to create a new one called new conceptual. And then for that one, we're going to say show the override. So if I come back over here to the override, I don't really want this to look um, in this sense like these lines here. I'm going to clear those out. The surface pattern though, I'm going to make that surface pattern like a solid fill, just a slight shade off of white. And go with that. Now if it cuts through the element, so if I create a section, I would want those walls to be a solid black, but this cut line override, the 5, I don't think I want that. I think I want that to just be what it is in perspective. Okay, so when we're cutting something in perspective, let me just get out of here for a second and go to additional settings. If I go to my line weights, pull that dialog over here, you'll see that we've got another tab for perspective line weights. And it's going to follow these rules when we're taking 3D shots. So these are the cut lines essentially. You could make these much smaller, but I'm going to leave them alone for now. And let's just take a look at what happens here quickly if we go to new conceptual. Okay, so now you can see I've still got my view template applied. So if I take that and say none, nothing is really changing here because those rules that I have on my category overrides, they're still in place. So let's just go back, sorry, to visibility graphics now that I don't have any view template rules in place for my model categories. I'm going to expand all so that I can select every category and subcategory. And then I'll say in one of these that's been overridden, clear overrides, and that should take them out for all of them. I should have taken them out for all of them. Might need to do this in each column. Let me just get down to the structural stuff. So I know those are all purple. Okay, looks like that's taken care of. So now I've got that black line. If that's something that you would want to soften, then you could go back to your phase settings, graphic overrides, and then come in here to your projection lines and maybe make them like just a little bit more gray, something to that effect. Okay, so you may want to darken that a little bit further. Right now, that's pretty pale. Go down a little bit further than that. And you can see currently I'm casting shadows. Um, but if I want something even a little bit softer than that, then I'm going to come down here to my graphic display options, and I'm going to put the smooth lines with anti-aliasing on, and then show ambient shadows. And this is going to take a little bit more to render this, but now that's got that soft Poche look that we're using sometimes to just show massing and just show the overall building without getting too caught up in the materiality of it. So let's see, if we wanted to use this now to create a view template, we would right click on this and say create view template from view. We can call this conceptual 3D perspective. Hit OK. And now if I go to like any floor plan and we create a new 3D view, so just go to the ground floor level here, and we'll pop a 3D view from, let's do it from here, kind of mimic what we were looking at earlier. Get that positioned, and then I'll apply that 3D view template. We kind of have that look that we're going for. So obviously we would have some topography and some you know, RPCs in there or hardscapes, all that good stuff, but that's how we achieve that look with that setting. So rotate that around for a better shot. So the other thing that we didn't take a look at last time was how does the phase filters affect from a linked model? So if we come back, let's just minimize this one, and I save this. I just want to see what happens in another model that I have this one linked into. So that's over here in another file. You can see I have a whole bunch of links in this one. So this is just a 3D view of that file. Now, I just want to take a look at this, but I'll have to update this file. So I'm going to sync this, hit OK. And then once that's synced up, because this is in the same folder as the one that it's hosted into, in this view 3D view 85, when I come back over to this, I'm going to reload this, and my changes for my phase settings should be updated. So now let's go to this view template, and we'll take that rule off for the phase filter. And if I go to my drop down menu, you'll notice there's no show new in here, right? But I'm removing this, so this doesn't matter from this standpoint. But now I can change what that is here for the view itself. And am I going to get the look from the other file? That's the question, I guess, is if I wanted that conceptual look for this 3D view, am I going to get that? And the answer, I don't believe, is yes. I think it's going to give me whatever show new is for this file. And it's probably not going to have much difference because we haven't really taken a look at the phasing here. Okay, so you can see nothing's happened. That's finished rendering. Now, if I go back to phases, graphic overrides, show new, okay, that's still all black, similar to the previous file. But if I go to phase filters, I don't have that phase filter conceptual new or whatever I called it. So let's take a look at this a little bit further. Not the view template for the phase filter, but if we look at Revit links and we come in here and hit edit, and then we go down to the red cage warehouse and hover over this by host view. When we override the basics tab with the customize button here, you can see that there's a phase filter option in here. And so if I take a look at that, you can see there's no updated version of that from my other file. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of here, come back to manage links. And this is something that's really nice in 2026 is this new manage links dialog box. Come and find my link and I'll say reload. Should do a quick spin of the donut. Oh, that's kind of nice. Tells me it's in progress. And we're done. Now, if we go back to the view template, then it's possible that I don't want to be controlling the Revit links with the view template as well. So I'll uncheck that, come back here, hit VV for visibility graphics, and then go to the Revit link just for this view, and I'll override it here. And then under phase filter, there's my new conceptual. I can hit OK on that. And interesting. So I don't get that look that I'm expecting here, but did we phase map the link, right? So if I click on this guy here and hit edit type, when I go to the bottom, there's a phase mapping option. And these are mapped. These are just the defaults. So this should take on that look, but it doesn't. It doesn't quite do that. So all this geometry is still black or black outlined with like a gray tone, a half tone, because I've got this show new in here. Let's see what happens now if we go to these phases, go to the graphic overrides. So phase filter for this view is set to show new. What if we say none? And then that stopped rendering as well. So with no phase filter, this is on new construction. This phase filter that's coming from the link, we're expecting that to have that poche. It doesn't do that. So what do I have to do? Create a new one here, possibly. Let's call it conceptual new. Now for this one, we'll say show override. Anything happen here? Okay, so now what you can see is the actual topography that's in this model is showing with a halftone and a black outline. But if we go to our graphic override now, you can see that that kind of makes sense here, right? This projection line is black, so let's clear that. That one's fine. We'll clear the cut line, but we'll leave the cut pattern as solid black. Let's see what happens here now. Okay, so it's changed our lines a little bit, but it doesn't really look like we're ever getting back to the link giving me the graphics that we're after. So I think what we would have to do is actually go back in here and change this graphic override to pretty much be the same thing as what we've got in the other one. So we changed this to a gray. We changed the pattern to a solid light gray. Something like that. Okay. So you can see they had to be aligned, and even getting a little bit closer, it's all kind of blending. It's all kind of blending in anyway. So you would need to be pretty close to get that articulation. There's a lot of mullions and stuff on here. And usually this sort of graphic display is only used on something that's very massing level of development. So just wanted to kind of review and test out how some of these things work.